good morning, good afternoon, and good night. My name is Mar Fikes Jr., and this is Become the Podcast. How do you become anything? You dream, you declare, you commit, and success is your next breath. We listen to the sounds of Ricky Rose, Rick Ross. I don't dig all of Rick Ross's music. I got kids, so I gotta be conscious of what I have planned. But sometimes he has the energy and the sound that's up my alley. So, I rock with him. So that's what we're gonna rock with today. In the room with me today is Simon. Simon is my 2-year-old. And so I have the other two, the 6 and the 10-year-old. They're all doing their own thing. And the 2-year-old couldn't be out in these streets with them. They might, there's no telling. So you're going to hear a very raw, authentic experience where he's going to be with me, and I might tell him to put something down to stop that while I'm doing the podcast. But we're going to jump into it nonetheless. So today, I wanted to talk about, sports. When I came up with the concept to do the podcast initially, I wanted to do something that dealt with faith. And not faith from a religious standpoint, but faith from a spiritual standpoint, believing in something, whether it is yourself, believing in concepts, and being able to, using faith to manifest ideas into things that are tangible. And then I also wanted to talk about sport, but I wanted to use sport to also illustrate how some of these spiritual concepts and the concept of faith can be exemplified. So not talking about sports just to talk about sports, but using sports as an analogy, because throughout my life, sport has taught me so many different things. And so here we go. So the name of this podcast is Can You Be Clutch All Game Long? Okay, and I can say that a couple of different ways. Can you be clutch all game long? Can you be productive all game long? And what I found is some people are able to be clutch and people are able to be productive, but it's all circumstantial. You know what I'm saying? In the right situation, a person can be effective. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Some people work well within a system, but I want to be a person that works. It doesn't matter if I'm in a system or not. I work. I get the job done. Whether you put me in this system or that system, I can get the job done. Now, there is something to be said about being in your lane and operating within your genius level talent, operating within your passion, operating within your purpose. But without getting too deep, I want to be a person that if you give me an opportunity, I can get the job done. So if you give me a lot of opportunities, I can be effective. If you give me few opportunities, I can be effective. I don't want my productivity to be based upon being in the right situation, because that person becomes a one-dimensional type of talent, and I want to be a multi-dimensional talent that, again, if you just put me out there and give me opportunity, I can make things happen. So as I'm watching Isaiah Thomas come back from a 7th-month layoff, I was impressed that he went 6 for 12, scored I think 16 points, and I said, man, he's going to get less shots. I wonder if he can still be effective with less shots. The way he was used in Boston, he got a ton of touches. Even if the players weren't ran for him, they gave him a ton of touches. And Celtics run an equal opportunity offense where everybody's touching the ball, and that's key. The ball has life, and when people get touches, you can rely on those people throughout the course of the game because they're constantly touching it. But he had a really, really high usage rate, something similar to James Harden. But he took advantage of it. He had an MVP season. He was incredible. And so I was wondering if he goes to Cleveland now and he plays with LeBron James and LeBron kind of dominates the ball, even though everybody's touching it, can he be effective with less touches, less of a usage rate? And so what I want to do is create this narrative with a couple of players in the NBA and illustrate players who are able to be effective regardless of their touches versus players who are only effective under certain circumstances. So here we go. Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson is looked at as a Hall of Famer. I mean, he is a Hall of Famer. But when he wasn't getting the touches he was getting in Philly, his productivity went down, his confidence went down. All of a sudden, he wasn't the answer, right? In Philly, he's getting 25 touches a game, all right? In Denver, he goes to 17 touches. And that was supposed to be this huge, this big two with he and Carmelo Anthony, but it didn't work out because his touches got cut down, right? And he probably wasn't getting the ball like he was getting it in Philly. He goes to Detroit, He's got 14. He goes to 14 touches because they were really running a more of a team type of offense where everybody was touching it, similar to what the Celtics do. And then after that, he's done. I think he goes to Memphis, then he goes to Philly, and then he's out of the league, right? And he probably should have been a guy that didn't play as long as Kobe for 20 years, but he should have had a stronger finish than he did. We look at Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony in Denver and in NYC shot the basketball about 20 to 22 times a game, right? He got a ton of touches in NYC. Over in Denver, he played with some other ball players. He played with George Karl, who was all about everybody touches it, and that's what was a big falling out. He wanted to touch the basketball and kind of dominate the ball like maybe a Mike did and be a big, heavy ISO player. But George Karl was saying, no, you're going to spread this basketball around. We're going to make sure that everybody touched it, and that was the constant falling out. So he goes to NYC. He's an ISO player. He's getting it on the block. He's getting the mid post. He's bringing the ball up. He's doing his thing, and he was this incredible scorer, right? He goes to OKC, and all of a sudden, the whole Melo hoodie movement is in history because off of 15 shots, all of a sudden he can't find his mojo. Now, he's had some games where he's figured some things out, but at the end of the day, if you watch the stat line, a lot of times Melo isn't putting up the same type of points. And again, is he old? No, that's a professional scorer. He's a special professional scorer. But you can see that when some guys don't get their touches, when they're not getting constant touches, their confidence goes down. You can say, well, what guy can find his rhythm when he's not getting a lot of touches? Well, that's why you got to be a complete player. You got to be able to do other things to make yourself useful. Let's look at Kobe. Kobe's first year in the league, he averaged 5 shots a game. 5, right? He was playing behind Eddie Jones. And he probably wouldn't have played a ton if Eddie Jones wasn't there. I mean, he was a rookie out of high school. Understand something. Kobe Bryant in this next year, his second year in the league, becomes an all-star off of 11 shots. Mind you, he wasn't starting. He was really sharing the spotlight with Eddie Jones. This man became an all-star off of 11 shots a game. Kobe's sick, right? Now, throughout the rest of his career, Kobe averages, and this is going to surprise many of you, he averages about 20 shots a game. Now, there's one outlier. I forget what year it was, but he averaged 27, but that's also the year that he averaged 35, right? But he averaged 21 shots a game. But when I looked at the years when he was playing with Shaq, the championship years, it was around 20 to 20 shots a game. Kobe did a lot of his damage when Shaq was off the floor. And when, in the fourth quarters, when they would start to double down, and Kobe was running pick and roll, attacking, closeouts, and maybe isoing a little bit. But they were still playing inside out, going through Shaq. But here's a guy that was able to be effective off of a few shots and also effective off of a lot of shots. And as you look at Kobe's career, he earned the right to take those shots. He earned the right to be a high-volume scorer, because if you're saying this guy can be an all-star off of 11 shots, what could he do with 9 more shots? Now let's look at Trey Burke. Trey Burke was, I think, the player of the year, his sophomore year, college player of the year. In college, he averaged 13 points. He averaged 13 shots a game, right? In Utah, he averages 12 shots his rookie year, second year 13 shots, 10 shots his third year, and that awarded him the average probably roughly around 11 points a game. So he's at this point he's a solid pro. He's a solid pro. On some teams he might be a solid backup. On other teams he might be a really solid third string point guard. He goes to Washington. He's only getting 4.5 shots. He averages 5 points a game. He's out of the league. Again, you see a guy who's getting all the touches, every opportunity to bring the ball up. He's getting up the shots in Beeline's offense, but he's got a ton of touches, a ton of usage rate, so his confidence is sky high. In Utah, the same thing. They're looking at him saying, listen, we're going to get this kid, a couple years to develop, but we're going to definitely give him the opportunities, right? He was still able to manufacture 11 points a game. He goes to Washington, and they're saying, well, listen, bro, we need you to play maybe 10 minutes a game, maybe 15 at the most, all depending on John Wall gets in foul trouble. John Wall is our guy. And if you out there, you're probably going to get maybe 4 to 5 shots a game. That's it. Okay? Maybe on a busy night, maybe you might get 8 to 10 shots a game on a busy night. But all of a sudden, he can only manufacture 5 points. And now he's out of the league. So it goes to show some people can thrive with very little, right? And some people have to have the basketball in their hands in order for them to be successful. Let's look at Fred VanVleet. Fred VanBleek, when he was in college, averaged 8 shots a game. 8 shots a game. I think there was a little bit of an outlier. His sophomore year, he won Player of the Year. That conference, he won that conference Player of the Year, and I think he was averaging maybe 12 shots a game. But here's a guy who's averaging 8 shots a game, ran the offense, did a bunch of things, right? For the offense, not just in terms of with the ball, but without the ball. He goes to Toronto, and he's earned the right. I don't know if you noticed, but when they have tight games, late games, he's out there playing. They go for a 2-guard lineup. They'll put Kyle Lowry out there. They'll put VanVleet out there. They'll move DeRozan to the 3, and then they'll put in Ibaka, and then they'll put in whoever else they're going to put in. I think Valanciunas. But that's what they'll go with. But that man has earned the right to be out there, and this is special about VanVleet. He averages 4 points. He averages four shots a game. He averages four shots a game, and his average is only 4.4 points a game. But you can tell he's confident because they got him out there, and he understands how to be effective with a high volume of shots and also with a low volume of shots. He's found a way to make himself useful. So you can tell that not only can he just be a solid NBA pro, but he also understands how to set screens, how to cut, how to space the floor, how to hit the open shots, so on and so forth. Now, let's look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan learned how to score off the ball first. He learned how to be a role player first. He learned how to score off of broken plays, how to hit the open J, how to duck in, how to get to the free throw line and shoot between 75 and 85%. He learned how to score with those straight line drive, how to catch the basketball, go into a quick post move. Now, Michael Jordan learned how to score 14 to 16 points in college. So he took that understanding to the NBA. So now when he gets to the NBA, he can give you 14 to 16 points. And then when you call his number, let's say 10 to 15 times, sometimes even more, he's going to now score on 50% of those attempts, right? So now it's easy for Mike to score 30 because Mike learned how to be effective off the ball. He learned how to be effective with the ball in his hand. So now Mike was able to be clutch or productive at any point of the game because he learned how to score easy. He learned how to do all these. He learned how to be effective easy. So if you gave Mike 20 attempts or if you gave Mike 10 attempts, Mike understood how to be effective. Whereas Allen Iverson and Carmelo Anthony were only good with the ball, Mike was good without the ball. So was VanVleek, good without the basketball. Kobe, good without the basketball. Let's look at Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, this is what it looks like. He goes from 6 points, 6 attempts, 9, 10, 12, 15 to 17 attempts, right? That's his whole career. He's been in the league for 6 years. His last 2 years, he scores 21 points. The year before that, last year he goes 25. The year before that, he goes 21. They taught Kawhi how to be effective off of 6 shots, then 9 shots, then 10 shots. I think the 10-shot year was his third year in the league. I think that's when they went to the finals. He became the finals MVP off of 10 shots. Now he might have scored more in the finals, but understand how he was able to. They taught him how to be a player without the basketball. Let's look at Dwayne Wade in Miami. He's taking 19 shots a game off a 45% clip. In Chicago, 15 shots a game, 15 shots a game, 18 points, 43% clip. In Cleveland, 9 shots a game, 11 points, 44% clip. So what we see is even when the attempts drop off, his averages stay the same. He's averaging around mid-40s. So here's my thing, man. If you want to be special, man, don't be able to be special and be effective off of few opportunities or high volume of opportunities. Because when you can be effective with low opportunity, that lets everybody know that I can create success at any given time. Just give me an opportunity. But if your success is circumstantial in terms of you got to have a ton of shots, we got to give you the ball, we got to feed you the ball all the time, well, we know that if we take that ball out of your hand, it's easy to take you out of your rhythm and it's easy to take you out of the game. I hope that makes sense. I want to do that one really quick. I don't want to do 2 of them. So hopefully all those numbers and all those narratives make sense. But that's it. We out. Marv Fox Jr. Become done.